Alright, response video, I think, to this guy. Kind of cranky. It seems, anyway. Wayward Horizons is his name. Yet he's going to defend status quo Babel. Yay! So he's got a video called Inmendham Sucks, and so does Antinatalism. Yeah, it's kind of an aggressive title. To clarify, I'm not saying Gary hasn't produced any good content and isn't intelligent in some regards, but the guy is still shitty. That's the philosophy he espouses. Anyway, so let's see what happens.
Hello guys, it's Wayward Horizons. Today, I'm going to be making a video talking about a subject and at the same time responding to a user who I've been wanting to respond to for quite some time. I've kind of been holding off on it. I didn't want to respond to this user initially, but after the last couple of videos they made, I feel the need to address this person. But first...
Gee, all this qualification because you're going to respond to a subject. I mean, really. You need all of this. You can't just get to it.
So we'll get to the subject. Today I would like to talk about the philosophy known as antinatalism and where exactly I stand on this philosophy. For those that don't know what antinatalism is,
well, here it comes, right? Here comes the silly paraphrase. Let's see what he does to it.
It's a philosophy that attributes negative value to birth.
You get negative value to the perpetuation of the status quo replicating for the sake of replicating molecule. Correct.
In other words, antinatalists believe that having children is wrong. There are many different ways antinatalists justify their position, but what it usually boils down to is...
Yeah, whatever. So here comes another brilliant paraphrase, no doubt.
Life is miserable, and bringing a child into a miserable world is wrong.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so that's it. That's what you're going to do with this real dilemma. Okay, so it's like almost arguing, well... Oh, there's these people who complain about nuclear power like it's some kind of problem, and now we have a couple little trivial accidents, and they get all hysterical, like, oh, everything's radiated. I mean, you're just going to be that trivial, right? I mean, this isn't like a real dilemma. That this isn't like a real risk equation. That you're rolling dice for somebody else. You're picking a straw for somebody else. You're gambling with somebody else's welfare, and that shouldn't be a little bit humbling. You shouldn't spend a little time maybe saying, wow, you know, do I really have a right to do that? Do I really have a right to mess with this thing? No, come on, grow up, fella. You know, we're just asking for the justification for imposing the risk.
Antinatalists argue that if everybody were to live by this philosophy, then certain world problems...
Well, guess what? Not everybody's living by it, but most people are already living by it in the sense that they're not having sufficient children to maintain human existence. Again, most people are already not having enough children to maintain human existence. And they're doing that usually based on personal preference. They really don't want to have 10 kids, or 8 kids, or whatever. And it's only the stupidest, dumbest, creepiest, cruddiest humans on Earth, the ones that are the most like dumb monkeys, who have more children. They're the whole reason why they're sustaining population and they're increasing population. So you're letting the dumbest humans on Earth decide the fate of the human race, and you're saying that's a good idea. I'm saying that's probably pretty stupid.
Problems would be solved, such as overpopulation. Now, I stand in opposition to this philosophy for a number of different reasons. The minor one...
Yeah, okay, whatever. The minor one. Here we go. Let's see what the minor one is.
One being that it attributes negative value to human life, which is something that...
On net, that's right. On balance, it attributes negative value to the lottery, for example. It says lotteries are stupid, okay? Or it says, yeah, it attributes negative value to the Olympics, let's say, right? Because you create one winner. You have a whole bunch of people who invested a whole bunch of time trying to be the best in the world, and they failed dismally. They wasted their capital, they wasted their life, essentially, trying to be professional athlete, And yeah, it was just a preposterous waste of energy. Yeah, so that's stupid. It's stupid to waste for the glory of one little individual. And that most human lives are either mediocre, they're just full of dull ache, or they can be extremely painful and unpleasant. And there's very few lives, very few people go through the little process unscathed and in a condition where they would at the end say, oh yeah, that was just fucking brilliant. So I mean, it's interesting that you from your current perspective can commentate on the value of living, and you haven't even done it yet. I mean, you haven't played the whole game yet. And we all know that the best part of the game comes at the end, right? That's when all the really good stuff happens.
I do not agree with. It's something that I am against, because I believe that all human life has inherent value.
Well, that's not the issue, right? It's not about whether a human life has value as a sentient entity. To say that it has value because it's doing something, that it's innately valuable because it's doing something besides feeling, would be silly. We don't have any purpose in the universe. We don't have any function. We don't make anything work that needs working. We're not a special cog in some special machine that does some special production. We don't produce anything, okay, except copies of ourselves. So I think the idea of saying it's justified because it justifies itself is kind of silly.
The main reason that I disagree with this philosophy is that it's pretty much extremely faulty in its nature. The specific idea that is faulty is the notion that life is miserable.
Oh, well, look at that. That's exactly the same reason as you just gave before. So you can't sit there and say that, go to the next reason, and the next reason is exactly the same reason you just stated is the reason. Oh, man.
You see, what a lot of anti-natalists mean when they say life is miserable is actually their life is miserable.
Oh, right. So that's your accusation. Okay, so you want to prove it with something? No, yeah, I mean, it does take personal experience. I mean, granted, you really have to have some personal experience with real horror or real nastiness to know what real nastiness is. You really can't know it until you have it. I didn't know what it really was until I was like 30 years old. And I really stepped into some shit. And then I said, holy shit, I didn't realize how bad life can really get. It was like twice as bad as I thought it could get. And so I got enlightened through that process. So yeah, I think you sort of have to have some shit fall on you for you to know what shit is. But there is no way there's no other way than through experience to gain this knowledge. I don't think you can't just have the knowledge without knowing what it is you have to kind of do some drugs to know what drugs are, right? You sort of have to.
In fact, the whole philosophy really kind of boils down to a whole sort of system of projection. What a lot of
yeah, whatever, system of projection. That you figure out what happened in the past, and you figure out, oh yeah, they're going to do the same shit all over again. World War III, World War IV, World War V, yeah, that kind of projection. You mean, right? Yeah.
Natalists don't realize, one anti-natalist in particular, is that life may be miserable for them, but guess what? Life isn't miserable for everybody else.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, like we don't know that, asshole. And again, you're going to say it's not miserable for what? Because a retard says, I'm happy, pink balloon, I'm happy. That doesn't really mean anything, does it? Let's just go by statistics. Let's do the statistics for alcoholism and drug abuse. Let's go with the statistics for miserable and lousy relationships. I mean, the divorce rate is one thing. Just imagine for every couple that gets divorced, there's got to be at least one or two couples that want to be divorced, but it's too big a hassle, so they don't bother, right? So let's just quit pretending that there's all these happy-pappy people out there. And if we could really do it, I mean, if we could really do the experiment and just see what people would do. If you had a kid and it was dying of cancer, and you could give up every one of your happy moments in your stinking, miserable, crappy life to spare them that suffering, are you going to say you wouldn't, jackass? Is that going to be your argument, you fucking selfish asshole? I don't think any rational person would say, yeah, I would selfishly cling to my little glory moments to impose cancer on my fucking kid. I don't think anybody'd say that. I mean, having kids is totally irrational, totally selfish. It's an act people conduct because of a biological process and they don't want to think too hard. That's the only reason why it happens, is because they don't want to think too much. Because if they actually thought about the risk they were putting, the jeopardy they're putting their kids into, and the likely outcome of their life, they wouldn't fucking do it. Alright, and my argument is, if we give them fucking polygraphs, you'll find out that most goddamn people are all goddamn people. Okay, I don't think anybody could pass this polygraph test, any of these birthers, that any of them are doing this for any kind of rational reason. It's a selfish, jackass move imposed on their children because they have psychological issues that need resolution, and they're going to try to resolve them through children. So fuck you. What I don't know. No, it's what you don't know, dipshit.
Else, so the idea that bringing a child into a miserable world is wrong. I mean,
that's not even the issue, right? It doesn't matter how you can't fix the game, jackass. How are you going to fix a game of essentially this cannibalism idea, the idea that you really can't have great comfort without imposing the harm on somebody? It's just the nature of the game played. And maybe you think there's all justifications for that, but you're some sort of Darwinian asshole who actually thinks you earn what you get. But that's not the way it works. There's nothing generically, there's no fairness built into the game, no justice built into the game. You could describe all these elements of this game of life and then compare them to any game that the human race ever built or made. And you could see the glaring differences. That rational beings, when they're doing something rational, understand that, yeah, we don't give the gold medal to the guy who accidentally, said 3 magic words. That would be idiotic. That something that the medal should go because of merit. It should be earned. And there's nothing about that built into nature, asshole. You're just such a jerk. Jeez, I might suck, but you're a jerk.
I agree that the world itself is not that great. I agree that there are a lot of things that we could improve upon. But bringing a child into the world is not something...
Yeah, well, how bad does it have to get before you say, yeah, it's fail? So if there is a World War III and 1 billion people die of famine and murder, is that bad enough? I mean, how bad is it? How many holocausts does the human race have to go through? How many AIDS viruses? How many plagues? How many... What is the sufficient number of harm? And now let's go to the animal kingdom. How many animals have to be abused in scientific experiments? How many have to be consumed and used up in a factory farm system? How many yells and cries and tears have to be shed before you say enough, enough, no mas, no mas? You're just saying that somehow your silly jackass life, your silly ambitions, and your snobbery and your cigarette styly smoking is somehow all worth that fucking carnage. Because that's the price of it, shithead. You can't have one without the fucking other. Alright? And you're just making rationalizations for it. You're just making silly, trivial rationalizations. And I'm calling you on it, dupe.
Imposition on them. It's not forcing them to live a life of misery. In fact, there are a lot of people...
Oh, right. They're not forced. So when they're born in Indonesia and given a 4th grade education, they aren't forced to be an asshole. Yeah, I think they are, jerk.
A good majority of people who are born into this world who are not miserable and who lead very happy, successful, fulfilled...
Why don't you give me the names? Give me the list. I mean, even Steve Jobs, with all his success and all that other crap, had to spend the last 4 or 5 years of his life miserably dying. So fuck you.
But anti-natalists don't understand that. No, they think that because their little world and their own life is miserable, then all of the world must be miserable.
Yeah, whatever. So I'll just make up shit about you, okay? You're just a selfish little rock fucker who, thinks you're charming and attractive and neato and cool, and you're really just a loser and a petty weasel. There, okay? Ad hominem attack sufficient? Fuck wit.
Anyone that disagrees with this, well, they just must be deluded. I mean, hell, these people are living in...
And you're like fucking horses. You look like a horse fucker.
some kind of fantasy world. How can they not look around them and see all the tragedy and see how miserable everything is? Oh, boo-hoo, fuck.
Right, exactly. Boo-hoo, fucking who. So that's your... I'm supposed to take your argument seriously when you can't even man up and say, yeah, there is this thing called tragedy in the world, and it's as dark and as black and as bleak and as nasty as a motherfucker can be. All right? You know, you can't even man up and do that. People die under horrible, miserable circumstances. Everything's stolen from them. Their identity slips right through their hands with Alzheimer's. I mean, all kinds of horrors out there, and you just go, boo fucking who. I mean, I can't, like, again, what else can I say? If this was a fair game, built by a fair justice of some kind, all right, you would get what you deserve. If you're going to mock that, you should be the recipient of it. You're the one who should pull that straw. You should pull it, and you should feel it, and you should experience it, so you would know what a fucking cunt you are.
Fucking who. Beyond that, though, the only way an anti-natalist society could even function or even be implemented in any way was if we all lived in a totalitarian system, or at the very...
Oh yeah, we're a totalitarian system like this one, where yes, the minority of people are in jail because they do things that aren't socially constructive. Oh, horror, horror. Yeah, I mean, really. No, and there's no way you could have a system where people are just actually taxed for having kids because they're really expensive, so they have to actually pay for their kids, and we force them to pay for them. We force them to get a job and pay for their fucking kids, you know, and that we reward people who don't have kids or who get themselves sterilized. So, yeah, there's no way we could have an incentive system and penalty system that would be reasonable. No, we'd have to be draconian. But even if we were draconian, again, the argument isn't that everybody has to go to fucking natal prison. Because the truth is, if we made people pay the freight, birth rates would go even down even further. If they had to actually pay $100,000 to educate their little monsters, okay, and the health care for their little monsters and all the other shit, and they had to pay it, and they couldn't steal the money from other people, they couldn't tax somebody's house to pay for their fucking kids, all right, and they actually had to pay it all right, they'd have even less kids than they're having now. And so there'd be even more people, there would even be fewer people that would be the problem persons in society that would have to be corrected. All right, so it'd be even more percentage of the human race that would be on the right side of those 2.1 children. All right, because that's all it takes, shithead. Just having less than 2.1 children. So if you have 2 children or less, okay, you're already behaving as an anti-natalist, you fucking retard.
Very least a dictatorship. I mean, hell, look at China. They've got fucking population laws. I think you're only allowed to have, what, 2 kids per family? And the 3rd kid, well, he gets fucking executed. So that's another reason I agree.
Yeah, alright, well, I'm just stopping there then, right? Is there really a point? I mean, that's got to be the stupidest remark made. But yeah, go ahead, be stupid. Yeah, that's it. Be stupid. And it wasn't better for the world that China implemented that policy, right? The fact that they would have another 2 or 3 or 400 million people in their country, no, that would be no problem for the world. That wouldn't mean that there would be even more coal being burnt. That wouldn't mean more environmental terrorism. I mean, just be an asshole. Be a stupid fuck for no good reason.
Because it's pretty antithetical to a democratic society. Something that I wholeheartedly support. And you can see...
Oh, and right. And where have somebody suggested against the democratic approaches? Nobody. So again, this is another false straw man argument that hasn't been made. Liar, liar, liar. That's all you got is lies. Yeah, you little wimps. That's all you got is lies.
A lot of these anti-natalists, I mean, go look up anyone that preaches this philosophy on YouTube or anywhere. I guarantee you, almost 9 times out of 10, these are people who are fucking washed up, miserable fucking people with shitty personalities. Which leads me into my response.
yeah, as opposed to great people like you. Oh, please. Yeah, I don't know. You want to, like I said, you want to have a contest? You want to have an IQ contest? You want to have a jump over a fence contest? I mean, what kind of contest exactly do you want to have? I mean, I think we're going to kick your ass in any kind of contest except, you know, what? Cotton candy eating or something.
To the infamous anti-natalist YouTube fucktard Inmendham. Now, Gary, I'm not even going to go into why your comments that you made in a recent video about the sad passing of Ariel were fucking deplorable and completely out of line, because I think anybody with a modicum of decency and...
No. It's only the little Borgites that would find anything I said offensive. Alright, that's all. Just the Borgites would do it. Alright, because it's a fucking truth. I mean, it's just absolutely horrible to just keep a kid, just torture a kid. Kids don't need what you need, asshole. Because you need something doesn't mean the kid needs it. All right? We brainwash kids into this idea that, oh, life, scary, death, ooh. We make them panic about these circumstances. We impose on them a value system that says somehow they have to survive. Survival's the only way, blah, blah, blah. And we humiliate them with this notion that somehow it's failure if they just resign to the truth. Then they're a failure or they're weak. And the only way they could be a hero and strong is, yeah, take another round of chemo, kiddo. And so it's a lie they inject into these kids and they torture them for no goddamn good reason. Now, you want to defend it, fine. You can all call me a fucking evil asshole. I don't even give a fuck. I'm just saying, I don't think you have an argument defending, perpetuating a child's suffering for some delusion that the kid actually needs to live in a world of 7 billion people. That sounds a little bit like profoundly stupid.
Consideration can see why comments like that are absolutely fucking disgusting. But I just want to...
Yeah, well, I think your comments are disgusting. I think your values are disgusting. I think your boo-hoo-hoo bullshit is disgusting.
Explain something to you, Gary, because this is something that people have been trying to beat into your head for a long time now, and it's just something that's not getting through to you.
That's right, because I really don't listen to people who suck horses' dick. You know, I say, oh, he's a horse dick sucker? God, he's fucking retarded. Why the hell would I listen to him?
Because you have such a thick skull. Now, let me spell it out for you. Just because your world is miserable and your existence is miserable...
That's again not the argument. I am super cool, actually, okay? If I had to be anybody on earth again, promise, I swear on the biggest Bible you could find and all the holy books and all the Constitution and like every great piece of paper ever written, all of Shakespeare and the David and, you know, the Sistine Chapel, and I swear on everything of value in the universe, my mommy and daddy, okay, that if I had to live a life over again, I'd be me. And I live my shitty life. Because I wouldn't want to be any of you cretins. Not a single fucking one of you. So don't tell me it's because my life is horrid. No, it's because I am not a fucking shit-eating retard like you, and I'm really glad I'm not.
Does not mean everyone else is. And you can sit here and call us deluded and say, oh, you guys...
Yeah, duh. Yeah, that's what you do when somebody's deluded, is you call them deluded. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. When somebody's stupid, you say, man, that's really dumb. Did you think about this at all before you said it? Yeah, you say those kind of things. I don't think you have any perspective. I don't think you're not showing any. You're not showing any humility, any respect for the real value issues here. You're mocking them and trivializing them. So you're showing no reason why you have any credibility whatsoever. And you're talking from complete ignorance, apparently. I mean, I don't know how much you've lived, but again, when the shit comes to your door, then maybe you could talk to me about how, yeah, well, that was all worth it too.
You guys are fucking delusional if you can't see why life sucks, but I hate to break it to you, dude, the one who has his head up his ass is you. Now...
Yeah, right, and I guess Shakespeare had his head up his ass, right? Because I don't think he wrote any pink balloon parade fucking plays. You know, I don't think Shakespeare would be like saying, oh yeah, life is just so fucking kick-ass. But whatever.
Gary, I understand that you have gone through a lot of shit in your life. From what I understand, you lost your sister, which you have my full condolences for. I mean,
that's trivial, but yeah, no, I mean, it's trivial that you bring up this personal crap. I mean, every single person has shit in their life. It just depends on when the shit shows up, okay, and whether, and in what, like it doesn't really matter. I mean that. If you're just going to accuse me of talking from my personal perspective and that there's no rational or logical form to my argument, then yeah, just make that accusation. I'll say it's not true, and that's as far as that can go. But there's just real no point. I mean, should we go to every ALS patient and you ask one guy, is it worth it? And yeah, it's worth it because they're so horny, you know, to like pet their grandchildren's heads or something. But the guy who isn't horny to do that, the guy who can't get a hard dick for this adventure he's on, and he has ALS, well then his experience is going to be completely different because yeah, there is no compensating donut, okay, because he's not addicted to anything. I mean, really, if you weren't addicted to heroin, but you had the symptoms of heroin addiction, you know what I'm saying? Like there was nothing that would satisfy it. You just have this unpleasantness. And then you have a person who could be satisfied. You know, their addiction, their symptoms were satisfied. They're going to have different perspectives of whether it's worth playing the game. One person's going to say, well, this is just stupid. I feel like shit. There's nothing here worth this shit. And the other asshole is going to say, more. Give me the cheese, give me the cheese. We understand that that's the mechanism. That's the subjective element that motivates people. Motivations are built out of the mechanics of our structure, but what exactly we get attached to is different for each person. That's the subjective part. The fact that pie is food is a fact. What kind of pie you like eating is a subjective interpretation. But again, if you want to just reduce the whole philosophy to subjective interpretation, I call bullshit on that. I call that's a dishonest way to argue because you could do it to every single philosophical perspective in existence, right? You could always argue against capitalism by saying, well, you're just money whores and you're living out of privilege, and you could argue that the communists are just petty losers who are just whining and complaining. I mean, this is just a stupid, ignorant, useless way to argue any subject. If there were referees, they throw flags for this kind of bullshit because this isn't the subject, shithead. My life is not the subject, jackass. The fact that you learn through personal experience might be part of the subject, but my life isn't the subject, you stupid, petty shithead.
I know from personal experience that losing a family member, or even somebody who's just close to you, is something that's very hard to deal with. But here's the thing, Gary. There are a lot of people in this world who have gone through some pretty fucked up shit in their life. There are people...
Yeah, there are fucking sadistic people who shoot little kids in fucking kindergarten. Alright? They shoot little kids in kindergarten and kind of enjoy it. So what? Why does it matter? There's fucking assholes who could they could have 10 kids and they could watch every one of them die slowly and they wouldn't give a shit. What does that have to do with this fucking subject, you dumb asshole? The fact that the parent is immune to pain and suffering and doesn't give a fuck and is an insensitive, self-obsessed asshole, that somehow proves life's worth living and that 10 kids that are dead is somehow not meaningful? Well, fuck you. That's idiotic.
People who have been fucked up physically, people who aren't able to walk for the rest of their lives, people who had their faces deformed by accidents, people who have lost their entire family to disasters.
Right, and so yes, a percentage of them are happy-pappy little troopers, and then a percentage of them are saying, kill me, kill me, kill me, kill me. And they have to go to court to try to get the right to die and still can't get the right to die. I've seen video of a girl in Haiti with elephant man disease who can't see, because the tumors have closed her eyes. So she's blind. She has to eat through a straw. Okay, but you can still mumble the words, kill me, kill me, kill me. But, you know, no one would kill her.
Or what the fuck ever. There are people who have gone through some pretty fucked up shit. But, you know, amazingly enough, a lot of these people who went through this shit, they did a little thing called rise above it.
Yeah, again. So we're back to the same old shit. Just ignore it. So the sadistic are now the fit. The insensitive are now the definition of fitness. I'm saying that's a definition of a human being I don't want to be. I don't want to be insensitive. I don't want to be callous. I don't want to be a selfish asshole who thinks he's accomplishing something because he's holding his sword up on top of the little mountain of shit and saying, I'm king of Mount Shit. That is not my definition of honor or integrity or value or accomplishment. It's my fucking opinion that that's motherfucking failure. So I think you little low self-esteem weasels who need the glory of climbing the mountain of shit, okay, are just that. Little glory-hunting weasels.
The tragedy they went through, they observed it and they thought, okay, yeah, you know what, that was shitty. It certainly has made my life a lot more hellish, but I, as an individual, have enough strength to rise above what has happened to me and try to make a good life for myself. And that is exactly where you...
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, Jack Kevorkian, you could argue, did all that. Okay, he was still an anti-natalist, but he did all that. He fought the fight. He played the game as richly as he could play it, and aggressively even. So what's this? This is all meaningless mush. What does this have to do with the subject? Oh, that's right, absolutely nothing. All right? I mean... You know, if we're talking about vegetarianism and the animals are right there, and, you know, we can show you pictures, we can show you videos, account for it. Don't play this game that because somebody says it's not pain, it's not pain. I mean, that's just idiotic. Make a logical argument explaining why the suffering pigs aren't suffering pigs, that they don't matter, that they're not of significant change weight to outvalue the wonderful dollar bills we made selling their fucking flesh and welfare. I mean, make the argument that something valuable enough has been extruded from them to justify the horror you imposed on them. But don't give me this crap that because some humans think it's okay, it's okay. Well, fuck you. Because the guy at the slaughterhouse thinks it's fun listening to them whine and cry, that it's okay. Well, sorry, it's not okay.
You failed, Gary. I don't know what it is that has made you so fucking miserable. I don't know what it is that's turned you off from the world, whether it be the death of your sister or some other shit.
Yeah, no, it goes back. It goes right all the way back to the very beginning. All right? I mean, you arrive here on Earth, you say, holy fuck, this being conscious thing is really, what the fuck is going on here? Where the hell am I? And you notice that you have a penis, and that's pretty cool, and you say, well, some of this stuff is sort of interesting. But then you just start right away noticing that there's this stuff happening, like there's stuff, bugs, and people are stepping on them, and there's other living things, and there's all this complexity to this existence thing. And you get a few sicknesses and a few other things, you say, holy shit, that was no fun. And there's all these rationalizations for why it's so fucking stupid and idiotic. Oh, God made it that way just to keep us confused. Yeah, God likes, just like you like to, play with a little ball of string with the cat. Yeah, well, God likes to play with us. Yeah, and he likes to keep us confused and fucked up. I mean, you get these preposterous explanations for why it is mediocre and stupid and to some extent, just totally unacceptable. I mean, when I was a kid and I saw a guy with a missing leg, and I was like, holy fuck, where's his leg? And I kind of realized I've had little tiny boo-boos, and I said, holy shit, little boo-boos are kind of a bad thing. This guy's whole fucking leg got boo-booed off. I mean, I can just imagine, I'm walking down the street and all of a sudden my leg falls off. It would probably be no good at all. And I'd say, I don't want to be doing any of this shit if my leg's going to be falling off. And I wouldn't even go out of the house. If somebody told me there was a 50-50 chance that my leg would fall off if I went down the street, well, then, yeah, I'm not going down the street. Because as a kid even, I was a little bit risk averse. I sort of said, well, I really don't want the double icing on the cupcake if the risk I'm taking is, I'm going to get tetanus. I mean, I really didn't see the point in in accepting a bunch of nonsensical risk for silly extras. I mean, yeah, it's just that. It's minimizing losses. Yeah, that's right. That's the difference. I want to minimize losses. You somehow want to maximize gains. I'm saying the idea that you can maximize gains in the first place is stupid, but that there's a huge value difference. The gains are made out of nothing but your fucking projection of value, where the losses are an actual loss. They are real losses. The meal is important, the dessert is trivial. I mean, I don't know, there's no point in trying to explain this shit to jackasses, but yeah, I mean, really. There's no food value in these Cheetos that you're chasing.
But the difference between them and you is entirely a difference of attitude. You use this thing that happened to you when you were whatever thing happened to you that made you this way, and you use it not as a way to grow stronger, but as a crutch. You use it as a convenient excuse to hate the world and not participate.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, convenient excuse. yeah, like I didn't do my tour of duty. I mean, that's just so fucking... It's obnoxious. Again, I shouldn't have to defend my life to you and what I've done in my life. I mean, that's just obnoxious. Just obnoxious, you little petty fuck.
Participate in it. When really, if you were to just take a moment and look at yourself and look at the way you act and look at how shitty your fucking personality is, and maybe if you took the time to actually improve that and improve your attitude a little bit...
Yeah, whatever. Become more like you? Oh, yeah, no thank you. But really, you're not all that fucking charming, shithead. You really aren't. So I don't know what the fuck kind of, stick is calling the twig sticky or whatever. Barky. Yeah. Twig calling the stick barky.
You might find, hey, life isn't so bad after all. Sure, the world might not be a perfect place. It might not be a fucking utopia. But you know what? I can make the best of what I have and try to be as happy as I can. And another...
Yeah, la. Why should I sign up for your board? I mean, if statistically it was proven that Christians were happier and their blood pressure was lower and they were much more compliant to corporocracies and all this other crap, that somehow that means I should become a Christian just to get along. Well, fuck you. If you think if that's the depth of your understanding of what philosophy is and what's being argued here, if you think the truth is just something you find one that feels good, if that's all it's about, well, fuck you. Really, you're just a nuisance.
Another thing, Gary, another thing. You sit here and complain all the time about how fucking miserable life is, but let me ask...
No, I don't do that. I explain how stupid life is. I explain that it's a replicating molecule, that we're allowing our psychology to own our intellect, that we're just wasting intelligence using it like a fucking hammer instead of actually using it to define goals. We just keep saying nature defined the goals for us and we're going to use our intelligence to strategize to score goals instead of using our intelligence to understand what the goal should be. And if you do that, if you use your intelligence to figure out what the game is and where the goal should be, you figure out that, you know what, you should put the goalpost this far apart and not even play the game.
What have you done to fucking change that? Because from what I can tell, all you seem to do is sit in your fucking house.
Yeah, well, again, so I have to defend my life to you, all right? I mean, really, I have to make video after video talking about what a great guy I am, all the people I've helped and all the causes I've fought for and all the videos I've actually made that are already on record here, okay, about other subjects. But, let's just discount all that energy and work, and we'll just pretend that, I'm somehow profiting from having to do this work of being socially hostile. Whatever, asshole.
And walk around whatever fucking plot of land that you own, living off of your fucking parents' inheritance money. Sitting there whinging on the internet, whining.
Yeah, what is that? Why do you need to go there? Like I said, why should I have to explain my personal circumstances? You just lied about them, you just made up shit, and so what, now I have to explain that that's not the truth? I mean, really, it's so invasive and obnoxious. You can't figure out that you really, again, that the umpire should throw a flag and say, hey, wait a minute, that's really not a debate tactic. It's not fair. It's not acceptable. It's not reasonable. I don't have to credential my videos. I make arguments on the internet. I'm not making arguments from authority. I'm not saying I'm the authority. Do what I say. I'm explaining the philosophy. I'm completely focused on the elements of the philosophy and defining them: consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, addiction. I don't want people to believe it because they don't understand it because I say so. I want them to believe it and understand it. I want them to understand every bit of it. So again, this is just so fucking fuckable. This is just such a fucking cheat and an intellectually dishonest. I mean, just man up and say, yeah, that was bullshit. Because you know what? That was fucking bullshit.
And complaining about how miserable you are, going around and telling people how bad they are for bringing kids into this world. And what you don't seem to realize is that in your pessimism and...
Yeah, whatever. What I'm doing is attempting to encourage people who may be thinking about having children to actually think about it. Just actually think about the metaphors, think about the responsibility, think about the fact that this is what they're doing, okay? Their kids will die, their kids will have things happen to them, they are subjected to huge risk without any guarantee of fairness or justice, any fair fight at all, that they should pause for a while and think about whether that's a good idea. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
In your fucking cynicism and mental instability, you have become part of the problem. Part of the reason the world is so fucked up is because of people like you. And
yeah, well, I guess that's the way it should be, right? I mean, when you disagree on certain issues, certain subjects, you should basically call each other evil. There's just no other way to look at it. That's right. I mean, in my opinion, you've got value completely upside down. So yeah, you can't do anything constructive because you think the negative is the positive and you think the positive is the negative. I mean, you got it backwards, and so you're totally destructive to any purposeful, productive cause. Yes, you're the enemy of progress. You're the enemy of value, productivity. You're you're just a mess. You're a destructive impediment to value preservation. You're graffiti.
Yeah, I agree. The world's not a perfect place. The world can be pretty fucking shitty sometimes. But there are two things that you can do in this situation, Gary. You can either rise above it, have a best attitude that you can about it, and try to make, your...
Look, asshole. I didn't invent the problem. I don't make the fucking problem. I didn't take the risk. I didn't do any of that stuff. It's not my responsibility. I'm pointing to the people that took the risk and have totally failed at doing anything to account for any of it. I mean, if a bunch of birds were, laying nests in cat shit, it would be reasonable for all the other animals to go, man, that is so fucked up. I mean, what kind of asshole does that? And that's what humanity is doing. It keeps never building a proper nest and just laying its eggs in shit and then whining that, oh, isn't it horrible that something happens. So fuck you.
You try to make the best of what you've got and do things to actively make the world less shitty, or you can do yourself and the rest of us a favor, open up your sink, drink everything that's under there, and rid yourself and this world of your miserable fucking existence.
Right, well, you can't even suggest suicide in some sort of reasonable, compassionate, value, rational way. You can't even give people reasonable suicide advice. I mean, really, you think drinking the stuff under your counter, I knew somebody, I didn't know them personally, but I knew of them, and they did the Drano thing, and it was just horrible. I mean, they didn't die. No, they just completely, annihilated their esophagus and, suffered for years. Yeah, great. I mean, go wish that on me. Thank you. I mean, I can only wish you the same, actually, Bubba. So yeah, I hope you get it as bad as it can be. I hope you get all the worst that can happen just so you can do your little stoic hero thing and say it's all okay. I hope all your arms, legs are cut off. I hope that you're to spend the rest of your life every day in chronic, horrible pain just so you can keep saying, look at the hero I am. I'm a great hero. Aren't I great? Look at me. I'm fighting it. I'm fighting it. I'm saying Mary Poppins every day. So yeah, aren't I super? So I wish it on you, fucker. I wish it on you.
Because people like you are exactly part of the problem and why this world is so fucked up.
Yeah, well, I'm rubber, you're glue for that statement, fucker. You're the one talking from status quo, wishy-washy cultural norms that have no integrity, that have never been tested as value systems, and you're just saying it's okay because the DNA says so. You don't have any rational argument here. You're not explaining how it's not replication for the sake of replication. You're not explaining how it's not really just addictive psychology that keeps people in the projection of value game. You're not explaining how the pain and suffering is somehow, how did you, boo-hoo. That's all it is. It's just boo-hoo. Fuck you.
You think you're some kind of activist? You think that going around telling people how horrible they are for having kids is somehow helping? You're not helping shit, Gary.
I'm not talking to the people who are having kids. I'm talking to the people who might have kids. The ones you can still stop. The ones that already fucking did it are, yeah, they're assholes, but I'm not talking to them. You know, there's no point talking to them. They already fucked us. They blew their load.
All you do is sit there on your fucking ass, make all these stupid videos arguing for this.
Alright, well you tell me what you do, okay? Why don't you make a video and explain that how you go, yeah, I served turkey at the homeless shelter and I picked up a piece of garbage on the side of the street once. Why don't you give me your fucking credentials as a human being? I think you've probably just been a player. You probably stole some girl's virginity once. You know, with a lie of some kind. I think you're probably a lousy, rotten, shitty human being. A selfish little motherfucking conniving weasel who's probably shoplifted. That's what I think, actually. I actually think that's probably true. You look like a shoplifter to me and a jaywalker.
Stupid bullshit, self-projection, whatever fucking philosophy. And I'm willing to bet that you have not done jack shit to make this world a better place. So
yeah, whatever. Go ahead. You want to make the bet? All right, give me the rational standards of how much better I have to be than the average human being. You go ahead and tell me how much better than the average human being I have to be. Give me some fair standards, and we'll see whether I fall into the this part up here or that part down there in terms of being a conniving, taking, wheeling, dealing, stealing little fucking conniving asshole in my life. So I'll go ahead. I'm willing to take your fucking bet, shithead.
Instead of sitting here and fucking complaining about the world and how bad everyone else is, maybe you should take a moment, look in the fucking mirror, and assess your own character and your own personality. And then maybe...
yeah, whatever. Rubber glue. Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, really, just fuck you. This isn't an argument, jackass.
Maybe you can start to make some improvements. But until then, you are just going to be a miserable old fucker. And when you die, that is exactly...
yeah, well, you just sound like a petty young shitwit. Yeah, and well, you look kind of old, actually. You look 45. You're probably 22. You know, maybe you need some eyeshadow or something.
Exactly how everybody is going to remember you. That will be your fucking legacy, Gary.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about any of that, all right? I really am not worried about any of that, okay? I really am. I'm quite confident I'm doing the right thing, and I'm doing it the best I can. I don't have any problem saying that. I am doing the right thing, and I'm doing the best I can, and I like me. I do. I like that I came out this way and I didn't come out that way. I'm really, really, really pleased to be me and not you. So, until you prove it somehow, that you're so much more kick-ass than me, sorry, no sale. I didn't buy your argument. I wouldn't even rent it.
A fucking washed up 50-year-old fuck who did nothing with his life, sat there and complained about how fucking shitty the world is, and basically giving a giant middle finger to the world and any opportunity.
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, this is just, I didn't win the pogo stick competition. I mean, yeah, whatever. Oh, yeah, okay, I concede. You know, it just hasn't really worked out really great for me, okay? I wasn't a huge success. I would have liked to have accomplished more, but it just didn't work out, fucker. All right? But I didn't make it not work out. I mean, I didn't commit some huge fouls or violations, okay? It just, sometimes it just doesn't work out. Now, you want to fault me for that? Fine, go ahead and do that. I'm just going to say, fuck you!
That you may have had it being happy. You will be remembered as a sad, pathetic, miserable old man. And I will have absolutely no sympathy for you when you do.
Yeah, well, sympathy for how I'm remembered? Well, yeah, please, don't have any sympathy because people are remembering me badly. If you're going to be sympathetic for that, then fuck that. Yeah, that's right. Again, you have it upside down. That's about as meaningless as things get. If you're going to start worrying about how I feel when I'm dead, I mean, that's really, really fucking retarded.
And that's all I had to say for you in this video. And for the rest of you anti-natalist fuckers out there, do yourselves a favor, pull your head out of your fucking ass already. Christ.
Yeah, well, you're the one with the old archaic, primitive,
and today,
you know, pop culture shit on your dick. You know, so whatever. Yeah, that's really enough of a video. Sorry, this is a really long video. But it was entertaining, I think. Some of it had some value. Just making the point that another non-argument. This really wasn't an argument about the real fact that life comes with this whole tragic element and that we really have to account for it in some way. You can't just keep ignoring the bloody, you know, gut-spilling elephant in the room. That there is a real problem here. This life equation really is way too fucking sloppy. And it's not just about human fucking beings. It's about all these other sentient mammals on this planet. And then, you know, we can, you know, there's lots of other animals that have brains that probably feel too. And they're going through horror every fucking day. And you want to just boo-hoo that? You know, I don't know what to say to that attitude. I hope you, I just wish I could, you know, take your knowledge of yourself and put it in, you know, like being John Malkovich. I could inject it into those lives just so you could get a taste of what it's like. I mean, fuck you people. Fuck your mocking lack of respect for how bad it can get and how bad it is. Fuck you. That's all I got to say.